Okay, so now we're going to add and deploy a Vite front-end React app into the TypeScript Mono-Repo. So remember that we have like this repository which has apps and it has packages. So for an app, it's going to be the actual deployed applications. So whereas packages is more for like a dependency which some app is using. So this is going to be a Vite front-end React app. So it's going to be actually deployed. So we're going to put it inside the apps directory. So in order to do that, I'm just going to cd into the apps directory. And then I'm going to, if you Google Vite and see they have great documentation here. So let's create a new Vite application. So yarn create Vite. Okay, and we'll call it Vite app. It's going to be React. Let's do TypeScript with Speedy Web Compiler. Okay, wow, super fast, right? And then one thing you should do as well is we can, inside the Vite app, we can give it the name of, so at tsjourney/vf. So tsjourney is the name of the entire, like the root package repository. So, and then you can see that like each package underneath, like the SST app, tsjourney/SST, and now we have this new Vite app, which is here, and it has the name tsjourney/Vite app. So the nice thing about the way Turbo Repo and whatever is set up is that now, like it's already, when I run dev, it's going to run dev in every package. So if I literally just do yarn dev here, I have to be in the root directory. So be careful when you're running your root scripts that you're in the root directory. So if I run yarn dev, I also need to run yarn install because obviously we just added that, we just added this Vite app, but in order to actually get all the packages, we need to run yarn install again. And when you're working with monorepos, there's this thing about hoisting, which you can look up as well. So like node modules are going to be shared between packages and going to be hoisted into the root directory. So that's done now. If I run yarn dev, then we see that it's going to run that dev script in all the packages, and it did flash up there quickly, but I can already see it from my README that the React Vite app is going to be running on this here, right? So you can see here it worked, right? We have a Vite app now, it's running. So you see that's very easy to add. I mean, we've just created a new app. The fact that it's in a monorepo doesn't change much at all. And you can see that like as long as you're, as long as you follow this kind of standard, now if I want to do yarn build, it's going to run the build command in every package. So you can see that here it's also going to build the Vite app as well. So as long as you follow this kind of the same names for your scripts in all your packages, then you can easily run the same script across multiple packages. So yarn dev, yarn build. Okay, cool. I'm just going to add a commit here and call it added Vite app. Good. Okay, so before we move on, we can actually clean up the Vite app a little bit. So there's some stuff that it's going to create when we create a Vite app that we don't need. There's other stuff that we can reuse from existing places in our mono repository. So the git ignore, we don't need that because we already have one in the root directory. Sometimes you might have to copy some of these specific git ignore rules into the root git ignore. But for now, like I already set that up earlier, so we can just delete this. Good. And then the other thing is for the lint configuration, we can extend from the, so remember that the lint configuration is already configured here. This is a common ESLint custom configuration, and you can import that into your various sub packages, and you can then just extend it and customize the bits you need. So this, what it means here is we can remove root true, and we can do extends custom, like that. And what that's going to do is extend the custom configuration from our ESLint package here. And let me just check that that's working. So if I come into here and I do, yeah, so it seems the lint is working, and that's nice because it means now if you go and customize that lint in your base package, those rules will be inherited where they're not overwritten into your Vite app or other applications as well when you set it up. So we can also do the same thing for the tsconfig. So for tsconfig, here I can set extends from the base. So you can see here there's a base, again, base tsconfig configuration, which is set up for the entire repository, which is coming from tsconfig. Yeah, this thing. And then whenever you do this, you also just have to make sure that you redo the root directory. By doing that, you're making sure that it's going to point to this package rather than the root package. So when I do that, you see this red arrow at the top goes away. And if I do yarn dev, then everything should still work. And if I go to the browser, then the Vite app is still running. Okay, perfect. So here we just showed like how we can basically reuse parts of the whole mono-repo and configure stuff on a level that goes down into each package, and then can be customized at the root level or at the package level. So there's also some stuff you could do here in terms of cleaning up. So what that means is we need ESLint here, but if you have like certain ESLint dev dependencies here, which are also being used in the custom, then you can remove them. So for example, like if your ESLint in the custom configuration is already importing like the plugin for hooks, then you wouldn't need to explicitly include it here again as well. I'm just going to add a new commit, clean up config files. Okay. Okay, so now we have this Vite app and it's running locally. We want to actually deploy it. The way we're going to do that is we're going to deploy to Amazon. We're going to use something called Cloud Development Kit. And Cloud Development Kit is a tool from AWS, which allows you to write infrastructure as code in various programming languages. So here's an example in TypeScript where the example is provisioning a VPC and an app runner service. And if you've ever done this in like actually by doing it through the AWS console, you'll know that this is quite a lot of work, and especially if you're doing it for multiple environments, it's going to get very repetitive, lots of places to make mistakes, and yeah, you don't really want to be doing that. So that's why infrastructure as code is great, is that you can, especially if you have developers which already know TypeScript, you can write all of your infrastructure in TypeScript as well, and then you can easily deploy, like very quickly set up a whole new stage, so you can deploy dev, prod, you can create a staging environment very quickly because you have all your infrastructure defined in TypeScript already. So this is, as I said, this is CDK, and then there's also SST, is a wrapper around CDK. The idea here is that you can, a nice thing about using SST is they provide some additional functionality to you, provide some higher level constructs, which are very nice to use, like for example, deploying a Next app, deploying a static site. Most of these things you can do in CDK as well, just SST might give you a bit of a better developer experience. And And the nice thing is that anything that you're already used to doing in CDK will also work in SST. So it's not like you have to really learn anything new. You can use all the stuff you're used to using if you already know CDK, just with some additional functionality. So yeah, let's go ahead and like add, basically to deploy now this Vite app using SST. So in the application, I already have set up the SST app, and I was using it to deploy the Lambda API. And I have the CDK app as well, just for reference. It's actually not being used if you look at the package JSON where we run the deploy script. It's using the SST deploy. The CDK code is there as well, just for example. You can see it's not really much different to the one using SST. So the first thing I'm going to do is, all right, I want to deploy a static site, right? So let's have a look. How do you do that? So static site, SST, there's an example here. So spell, view, React. Okay, so this is how you can create a static site. So in order to work with SST, the first thing you need to do is create a stack. So we have here the API stack. I'm going to create a new stack and call it Vite app. Okay, and then I can, so you're always defining functions. So I can define a function here like this, and import the stack context like that, and then copy in the code for the static site, and I can just do const site equals. We don't need any environment configuration. For now, we'll just leave it like this. Static site is going to be imported from SST constructs. Okay, like this. And right, so this is, and then also what I quite like to do as well is just add to the outputs. So you can see when we deploy it later, you'll see the site URL is getting added here as well. So this is a way that you can have like, it's almost like logging, but it's from your infrastructure as code. So you can see in the CloudFormation, like there's a tab at the end, which will tell you what your outputs are. So there's this path to site here. This is going to be the path to the Vite app in this mono repository, right? So there's a few ways of doing this. You could write a relative import where you could just go like up one level. Actually, here it will be up several levels. I'm not sure if this is also going to run inside the root package here, or if this relative path has to be relative to this file. Yeah, I think a nicer way of doing that is actually to like import the package sort of properly through your package JSON file. So what I mean by that is what we can do is actually, so I'll just leave this empty for now. I can go to my console here, and I'm sure you're already familiar with installing any kind of npm package, and it works exactly the same in a mono-repo. So I can go to my SST app, and I can run, so yarn workspace, this, add, and then I want to add the Vite app, okay? All right, so Vite app is here, and I can do that. So what that's going to do is, if we look at my package lock, what it's done is it said this SST app now has a dependency to the workspace version of the Vite app. And what that allows me to do as well is I can actually go into my Vite app, and I can import path from path. And then for the path here, I can put this. So what that's saying is path.join and then resolve tsjourney Vite app and then go one level up. So what I actually need to do now is define a resolution file for that to resolve to. So if I go into my Vite application, then what I can do is just add an empty index.js file, which is going to go with the root directory. So if I go here, and I can create a new file, index.js, which has to exist, and I'll just put empty file to resolve the package. So by doing this, what that's going to do is if we go back to my Vite app here, it's going to do require.resolve. So this tsjourney Vite app is going to resolve to this index.javascript file and then go one level up, which is going to be this folder. So yeah, this is a bit more complicated, like than writing just like a relative import. But the nice thing about this is I can move this application around. Like I can move this, I can move this package around within my mono-repo. I can even move it in terms of depth. I can, if I create like more complicated mono-repo structure where I maybe have like examples and stuff and they're all copied and pasted all over the place and it's getting very big. At least when I do like this, it means that it's always going to resolve the like where it can be found within the mono-repo. The other thing that's quite nice about this as well is I'm explicitly, in order for this to work, I have to explicitly define a dependency here, which can be nice when you're, for example, running like certain scripts, even using turbo repo, then or any other kind of mono-repo management packages. If packages know what dependencies they have, they can wait for those packages, for example, to build first before they build and that kind of thing as well. So it's quite nice to be explicit with your dependencies, even in your infrastructure as code, to say like this infrastructure as code app, this SST app has a dependency to this Vite app and it's going to import and use it. So yeah, the other thing I then need to do as well is go into the SST app. And before I was doing app.stack API stack. So now instead, I'm just going to do this. Cool. And that means now that as one part, so you can add multiple stacks here. And that just means that this Vite app is going to be one of the stacks which gets deployed. And there's one final thing to do, which is actually on the Vite app. It's sort of npm run build, which is what we copied from the sample code. It should actually be yarn build because we're using yarn here. Okay, cool. So then we just run npm deploy or yarn deploy, sorry. And you can see that now it's going to build that static site using that build command that we just specified. You don't actually need to build before running this. You could put an empty build command here and then build first. Sometimes I do that for CI/CD, like build and then deploy. But here it's going to say the SST is going to tell it to build it itself. And if you go to your AWS console now, then you'll see this new Vite app create in progress. And it's deploying S3 with CloudFront in front of it, super cheap, so you don't have to really worry about the pricing of this. And of course, you can just delete that stack and shut it down later. So all of these things that are deployed using CDK or SST come up as CloudFormation stacks here. And if you want to, like if you're worried that something might still be running later, you can always just, click on it here and delete it. And usually that will clean up all the resources, not always. So S3 buckets, for example, might be left behind. So yeah, This is going to take maybe 2 or 3 minutes, maybe more, to run because it's doing the S3 bucket, and then it's also creating a CrowdFront distribution over the top, which takes a while. So I'll just skip ahead now. Okay, so that's now done. And you can see in the logs that it created a few resources in AWS, so the S3 bucket and also the distribution. So if I open up this URL, then you can see my Vite app has been deployed. And also you can see in the CloudFormation here. So in order to get here, by the way, you just have to go open up AWS, go to CloudFormation, and you can see the Vite app is here. And again, in the outputs, we also have some stuff here, so you can see the URL. And then the final thing I did here is I just renamed the static site. So before it was called React, which is the from the source code I copied from the internet. So I just changed it to Vite app to be consistent with the naming. That ID does actually matter because it will be used, for example, for the physical IDs for AWS resources. So you can see that all of the resources which are being created are going to be called Vite app now. If you leave it to React, of course, it's also fine. So yeah, and you can see that now it's when I redeploy here, it's going to delete the old resources which were called React something and rename them to Vite something. So yeah, that's just a little explainer that this ID that you specify to the static site, it actually matters and will be used for the names of the resources that are created. And yeah, cool. So that's done now, and I'm just going to commit that Vite app deployment with SST. Cool. So just to recap, we've now used SST, and we've used this SST construct to very simply deploy our Vite application. So this static site construct, which is coming from SST, is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for us here, and we only need to specify basically just where to find the compiled, or where to find the source code, how to build it, and then SST is going to take care of everything else for us and deploy the actual single page application.